Welcome to Science for Sleep. You're here not by accident, but perhaps because your mind is still stirring. Long after the world has gone quiet, maybe your thoughts are drifting like soft clouds. Maybe they're racing. Maybe you're just curious about the mysteries that fill the night here. We don't rush. We don't demand answers. We drift together through the gentle seas of science and sleep. Each episode in this series is designed to help you rest, not by switching off your brain, but by gently inviting it to wander, to wonder, and then to let go. We believe science doesn't need to be loud or fast. It can be soft. It can be slow. It can rock you to sleep like a lullaby made of stars and atoms. So tonight, let's begin a new journey, a question as old as dreams, and as strange as light itself. What if you could freeze time? It's something we all wish for, sometimes enjoy, to hold on to a perfect moment, in fear to stop a mistake before it unfolds, in exhaustion just to breathe, to stop the ticking, to rest without the world moving on without us. But what does it really mean to freeze time? Not in the way comic books show it, with magic buttons and paused coffee cups mid-dash air, but in a deeper, quieter, more thoughtful way. Could you ever truly stop the clock? What would happen to your body, your brain, the planet, if time suddenly stopped? Would you remain aware? Would the air still move? Would light still reach your eyes? Would your thoughts still form? Or would the world fade into stillness, so perfect, so silent, that not even a dream could find you? Tonight, we're not here to solve that question. We're here to feel our way through it, because the idea of freezing time is really an invitation to look closely at how time works, how we measure it, how we experience it, and how life depends on it in ways you may have never noticed. You'll learn that time isn't just something ticking on the wall. It's in your breath. It's in your heartbeat. It's in the changing light on your skin. It's in the slow turning rhythm of the earth. And perhaps most strangely, it's in your memory, in your awareness, in the spaces between your thoughts. You'll meet the physics of time, Einstein's stretching seconds, quantum uncertainties, and the arrow that moves us forward. You'll visit the timeless worlds of deep space, the frozen silence of isolation, and the clock hidden in your biology. You'll float through you'll slip into experiments. And then, as the story winds down, you'll return not with answers, but with calm, with awe, with sleep. Let this be a gentle reminder. You don't need to control time. You don't need to stop it. All you need is to rest in it, to lie still, to breathe, to listen. Let the night carry you now. Let the questions stay open, and as you drift, we'll begin with a feeling you've already known your whole life. That time doesn't just pass. Sometimes it slows down. Sometimes it stretches wide. And sometimes, for just a moment, it almost feels like it freezes. You've felt it before. A moment stretching like taffy in your memory. A second that seemed to last forever. The world didn't stop, but something inside you slowed. Maybe it was the flash of headlights right before a sudden stop. Maybe it was a fall as gravity tugged you down and your thoughts sped up. Or maybe it was something quieter, like the silence after hearing unexpected news, the kind that stills the air around you. Time, in those moments, didn't behave normally. It became elastic, like it was being stretched or compressed by something other than clocks. But was it what you were feeling? Wasn't the world changing? It was you. Your brain adjusting its rhythm, expanding its perception, slowing the movie down frame by frame to help you survive, to help you understand, to help you hold on to what mattered. Let's gently begin there with this strange ability your mind has always had. The ability to stretch time from the inside out. Inside your brain, time isn't kept with numbers. There's no tiny clock ticking in your skull. Instead, your sense of time is built from moments, from sensations, from the spaces between experiences. Every time you see, hear, or feel something, your brain makes a kind of snapshot. Then another, then another. These snapshots are stitched together like frames in a film. The more frames you notice, the slower the scene seems to move. This is why, in moments of fear or focus, time can appear to slow down. Your brain is taking more snapshots per second. Everything becomes sharp, detailed, intensely vivid, and so time stretches. Not because the world changed speed, but because your awareness expanded. Scientists have even studied this. They dropped people from great heights safely onto nets below and asked, "Did time slow down?" Most people said yes. They felt like the fall took longer than it actually did. But when asked to measure time more accurately, they couldn't. It turns out time didn't actually slow, but memory did something different. It recorded more. And the more we remember in a moment, the longer it feels. This is the curious trick of your brain. It doesn't just measure time. It feels it. It fills it. It shapes it with attention, with emotion, with meaning. Now think about the opposite. Those days that blur together, when you're busy but can't recall the details. Time seems to disappear. The clock says hours have passed, but you barely felt them. Why? Because your brain took fewer snapshots, fewer memorable moments to hang on the walls of your mind. And so time slides by like water down a smooth stone. In this way, your sense of time is like a camera in a dream, clicking faster when you're alert or afraid, clicking slower when you're distracted or dulled. Time is not a thing you walk through. It's something your brain paints around you. And depending on how awake, how emotional, how focused you are, the painting changes. The seconds expand or vanish. Let's slow it down now even more. Let's drift into sleep science. When you fall asleep, your brain doesn't just power down. It rearranges time. Dreams seem to last hours, but occur in minutes. A single REM cycle might deliver a story that feels longer than a movie. In your dreams, time is liquid. You can skip through decades in a heartbeat, or stay in a single scene for what feels like eternity. This is one of sleep's quiet wonders. It frees you from the clock. It loosens your grip on seconds and minutes. And it reminds you that time is something your mind helps create. Even while your body rests, your inner world can stretch, condense, repeat, and rewind time with no effort at all. But what if we could control that feeling? What if we could choose to slow time at will? Athletes sometimes describe entering the zone, where every movement feels precise, every moment elongated. A basketball floats through the air as if in slow motion. This too is perception. When the brain is in a hyper-focused state, it prioritizes details, sharpens edges, and fills in more data. Time feels slower because the mind is more awake to each flicker of reality. It's not magic, it's neurobiology. Your brain is always balancing between awareness and overload. And in that balance, it decides how fast or slow time feels. So now, as you lie here in the dark, know that your own mind is quietly shaping time even as you listen. Each word, each breath, each pause is being measured not by a clock on the wall, but by you, by your senses, by your memories, by your attention. This is the secret. Time may be constant on paper, but in your lived experience, it's not. It speeds up when your days are repetitive. It slows down when you're fully alive. It drifts when you dream. It halts in trauma. It expands in OD. So perhaps the real question isn't, can you freeze time? But rather, can you feel it more fully? Can you stretch it gently with presence? Can you find stillness within the movement? Let those thoughts settle now. Let them drift like feathers in a windless room. You've seen the mind's quiet power to slow time from within. You've seen how attention is the true clockmaker. And as your thoughts grow softer, you'll begin to sense another way. Time bends, not from emotion, but from the laws of the universe itself. Because beyond the borders of your own mind, time doesn't just feel strange. It is strange. And in the next chapter, you'll step into that strangeness as we travel to the edge of speed itself, to explore how time slows for objects that move very, very fast, very fast. Time is everywhere, in the tick of a wall clock, in the turning of the earth, in the slow decay of a leaf in autumn. But before we had seconds and hours, before we had calendars and calendars stacked in libraries, we had something more intimate. We had breath, in, out, in, out. The first clock you ever knew was inside you. And tonight, we return to that ancient rhythm, to the soft ticking of your own lungs, to the quiet drumbeat of your heart, to the timekeepers you carry with you, without ever needing to win them. Lie back now. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath rise and fall, like waves sliding against a quiet shore. Each inhale, each exhale, is not just air moving through your body. It is a kind of counting, a rhythm that divides the night into invisible intervals. Before atomic clocks, before pendulums and pocket watches, humans counted time by feeling, by listening, to their bodies, to the stars, to the soft pulse in their necks as they drifted between waking and sleep. You breathe around 12 times per minute, 720 times in an hour, over 17,000 breaths a day, and your brain, whether you notice or not, uses that rhythm as a kind of quiet metronome. Scientists have discovered something fascinating. Your breath subtly influences how you perceive time passing. When you breathe deeply, slowly, time seems to stretch. Moments feel more spacious, more relaxed. But when you breathe quickly, shallow and fast, time feels tighter, shorter, like it's slipping through your fingers. It's not just an illusion. Your breathing rate is tied to your nervous system, and your nervous system is tied to how your brain processes time. When you calm your breath, you calm your clock. This is why meditation feels like stepping outside of time, why yoga slows the world down, why simply lying here, listening to your breath, feels like something ancient and important. because it is. Some traditions teach that your breath is a thread connecting you to the rhythm of the universe, that each inhale draws in the present moment, and each exhale lets it go again. You are not just observing time, you are living it. With your body, with your breath, with your being. Close your eyes for a moment, or, if they are already closed, simply rest behind them. Feel the rise of your chest, the fall of your belly, the invisible clock you don't need to check because it's always there, faithfully counting the seconds in and out. Even while you sleep, this breath clock continues, gently ticking in a language older than words. You see, timekeeping didn't start with machines. It started with rhythms. The rhythm of seasons, the rhythm of firelight flickering, the rhythm of your own body. Ancient people watched the moon wax and wane. They watched the tides come and go. They felt the slowness of winter and the urgency of summer. And they knew time wasn't separate from them. It was them. It pulsed through their feet, through their lungs, through their dreams. And even today, modern scientists are rediscovering just how deep this connection goes in your brain's hippocampus. The place where memory lives, there are cells that light up in rhythm with your breathing. These cells don't just help you remember things. They help you feel the passage of time. They help you understand duration, how long something lasted, how long ago it happened, and they sync to your breath, to that soft, steady beat you carry like a song in your bones. Imagine that for a moment, your memory of time, how long this day has felt, how fast this week has gone, is partly shaped by how you've been breathing. It's a quiet feedback loop. Breathe calmly, and the day stretches open. Rush your breath, and the hours race ahead of you. And so you see, your breath is not just fuel, it's a storyteller, a sculptor of time. And like any story, its pace can change the meaning. Now, take one deeper breath. Not forced, just a gentle expansion. Feel how your mind softens as the air fills your lungs. Feel how this moment lengthens itself like a shadow at dusk. You're not escaping time, you're meeting it. In the one way you always can, through your body, through your breath, through your presence. And this is important, because when we talk about freezing time, what we often mean is, I want to feel more present. I want to remember this moment. I don't want it to slip away too fast. And your breath is the first tool you've always had to do exactly that. Not by stopping the world, but by anchoring yourself within it. So when the world rushes past, you stay grounded. So when the clock moves forward, you don't feel pulled under. You feel steady. You feel here now. As you begin to drift, notice how each breath blurs the edge of time. There's no rush, no hurry, no deadline pressing in. Only the rhythm. Only this slow, sacred counting that hums beneath your thoughts. Tonight, your breath is your clock. It ticks not in seconds, but in softness. And with every gentle rise and fall, it says, you are safe, you are still, you are here. But of course, not all clocks are this kind. Some don't tick with breath. They tick with particles, with radiation, with vibrations so precise, they measure time to billionths of a second. And as your breath slows into sleep, we will next travel into the most accurate clocks ever made and discover how they've changed our understanding of time itself. Because to understand time, we must understand how we try to measure it. Now such a small word, just one syllable, but it holds so much. It holds the moment your eyes close, the moment your body lets go, the breath you are taking right now, not the one before, not the one after, just this one, here now. But what is the now? In the world of physics, this tiny moment you call the present isn't quite as simple as it feels. And tonight, as you sink into rest, we drift gently toward that mystery, the strange, slippery thing called now. You might think time is like a line, a straight one, past to future, a neat sequence of moments stacked like dominoes. But the universe doesn't see it that way. In Einstein's world, in the world of space-time, there is no single universal now, no master clock ticking above us all, no shared present moment that stretches across the stars. Time, you see, is personal. Your now depends on where you are, how fast you're moving, and what's pulling on you. Gravity, velocity, position. If you were floating near a black hole, your time would slow down compared to someone far away. Your heart would beat, your breath would rise and fall, and to you, everything would feel normal. But to an outside observer, you'd be moving in slow motion. So which now is real? Both and neither, because in physics, there is no privileged present. Only what seems present from where you're standing. Lie back. Let your limbs grow heavy. Let your thoughts unspool. You are resting in your own private slice of space-time, your own patch of now. No one else shares this moment quite like you do. Your body is still, your breath is slow, and your brain is sifting time like fingers sifting warm sand. Even as we speak, the earth spins beneath you. It moves around the sun. The sun orbits the galaxy, and time folds and stretches with every motion. There is no central second hand guiding the cosmos, only billions of clocks ticking in their own unique rhythm. The famous physicist Carlo Rovelli once said, "The flowing of time is a perspective, not a property of the universe." It's not that time flows. It's that you are flowing through space and light and memory. Your brain assembles this feeling of now from fragments, from sensation, perception, experience, like a painter dabbing moments onto the canvas of your life. But physics whispers that all these moments, past, present, and future, may already exist, not moving, not changing, just existing, like a landscape we move through one step at a time. So the now you feel may not be something that flows. It may be a feeling, a sense your brain creates as it walks through time, just like your eyes create a sense of here, even though space stretches far beyond your reach. You feel centered in your body. You feel located, and in the same way, your brain locates you in time. It says, here you are, right now. Even though the universe doesn't single this moment out, it is you who chooses to pause, to rest, to say, this is the moment I'm in, and that's a beautiful thing. Because if the universe offers no absolute now, then every moment can be sacred. Every breath can be time well spent. There is no rule that says you must rush forward. No law that says you must always be busy. You can stop. You can stretch the present like taffy in your hands. You can soften into it like a cat curling into sunlit sheets. Time may not be flowing, but you can float through it gently. And what does this mean for those of us who wish we could freeze time? It means, perhaps, we already do. Every time we notice something deeply, every time we sit with someone in silence, every time we pause and feel the breath move in and out, that's not an illusion. That's your consciousness claiming its place in the universe's great stillness. You don't need to stop time. You just need to feel it. Now, picture this. You're lying on the beach. The stars above you are quiet. The ocean breathes beside you, and time. Time has no urgency, no edge. There is only this breath, this moment. And even though a physicist might tell you that now is just a local event, you know in your bones that it matters. That this soft point in time is everything. It's where your mind rests. It's where your dreams begin. So don't worry if you can't hold on to time. It was never yours to trap, but it is yours to feel, to taste like honey, to float in like water, to savor before it slips into the next breath, into the next breath. Imagine you're standing still. The world keeps moving, but you do not. A hummingbird hovers before your face, its wings frozen mid-flutter, like strokes of light painted on glass. A droplet of rain, caught in mid-air, glistens, suspended between sky and earth. Your heart still beats. But time, it seems, has paused. This is the dream. To freeze time in motion. But what does that really mean? What would it feel like if time stopped? Not everywhere, but just for you. Let's drift slowly into this idea, one moment at a time. You see, the concept of freezing time is more than science fiction. It's a question of physics, of biology, of perception, and of wonder. Because time and motion are deeply connected. In fact, in physics, motion is time. Every moving object, from a falling leaf to a racing comet, marks the passage of time through change. No change, no time. So what would it take to freeze time, to halt change, to stop motion but keep awareness alive, to pause the movie of life without turning off the screen? Let's begin with a very small world, the quantum world. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in states blurry, uncertain, unpredictable. But there's a strange little trick called the quantum Zeno effect. It suggests that if you observe something constantly, really constantly, you can freeze its state, like staring at a candle flame so intently. It forgets how to flicker. The more you measure a system, the harder it becomes for it to evolve. It's as if, by watching closely enough, you're pressing pause on change itself. So in one sense, you could say, we can freeze time at the quantum level, but only for tiny things, only for atoms and probabilities, and only while we look. But what about your world? The everyday world of heartbeat, memory, gravity, and love. To freeze time here is much harder, because you are not separate from time. You are time. You are built of moments, layered on top of each other. Each breath, each thought. A new ripple in the stream. If you froze time outside yourself, you'd also freeze your own thinking, your senses, your motion, your mind. There would be no one left to notice the stillness. But let's stretch this dream a little further. Let's not stop time completely. Let's imagine slowing it down, so slowly you could see the air ripple as someone speaks. Watch a falling leaf complete its journey over hours instead of seconds. This is where physics gives us a gift. It's called time dilation. And it's real. According to Einstein's theory of special relativity, the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time compared to someone at rest. So if you traveled at nearly the speed of light, your internal clock would tick more slowly than everyone else's. From your perspective, you're just fine. But when you return, you find the world has leaped forward. You've moved through time differently. You've tasted a kind of time freeze, in fact. Astronauts on the International Space Station aged just a little bit slower than people on Earth. Tiny fractions of a second, barely felt, but it's real. Measured, proven. Time is not fixed. It bends to motion. So in a way, the universe already allows a gentle slowing of time, not through magic, but through motion. And then there's gravity. Near a massive object like a planet, a star, or a black hole, time slows down again. Clocks run more slowly in strong gravitational fields. So if you lived near the surface of a neutron star, your minutes would stretch into hours elsewhere. Again, this isn't fantasy. This is physics. And it's happening to you right now, because Earth is heavy. And time, even here, even now, moves just a little slower at sea level than it does on a mountaintop. You are living inside time's gentle distortion. But let's leave the equations aside. Let's come back to where you are, lying in your bed, resting, listening, breathing. You may not be able to freeze time with machines or black holes, but your brain, your beautiful, sleepy brain, has its own ways of stretching time. Have you ever noticed how long a dream can feel when it lasts just a few seconds? How a moment of awe can feel eternal? Or how time seems to vanish when you're lost in music, art, love, or silence? Psychologists call it time perception. And it's a fragile thing. Your brain tells time not with a clock, but with changes, with heartbeats, with events, with novelty. So when everything is familiar, time speeds up. And when things are new, rich, or emotional, time expands. In this sense, you freeze time every time you pay attention. Every time you truly notice what's right in front of you. So tonight, as you lie still, you don't need to stop time. You don't need a spaceship or a wormhole or a trick of light. You only need presence, because presence is what makes time slow. Presence is what turns a moment into a memory, a second into a world. This is your version of freezing time in motion, being fully here, and maybe that's what we really mean when we dream of stopping time. We want to feel that a moment can last forever. We want to hold a heartbeat in our hands. We want to take the chaos of life, the motion, the change, and say, just this, just now. Let me keep it. Let me remember how it felt to be alive in this exact, beautiful stillness. And so, with your eyes soft and your breathing gentle, we leave the frozen moment behind. Because time, no matter how we stretch it, always moves forward. And, in the next chapter, we'll follow its arrow to understand why time has a direction, why it always flows from past to future, and why we cannot go back. Asterisk, close your eyes, and imagine the universe as a clock, not a ticking, talking machine, but something more delicate, more mysterious, and more precise than anything ever built by hands. Tick, tick, tick. A rhythm you cannot hear, but one that shapes your days, your heartbeat, your memories, your very sense of what now means. This chapter is about that rhythm. Not time as a feeling or time as a blur, but time as it truly is. Measured, defined, etched into atoms. Let's float there now, to where time begins to count itself. For most of history, humans measured time by the sky. The rising of the sun, the blooming of a flower, the drift of shadows across the earth. But those rhythms were never perfect. Clouds hid the stars. Seasons shifted. Clocks ticked faster in summer, slower in winter. So we looked for something more constant, something that never changed, and we found it. In the atom dot, imagine holding a single atom of cesium-133 in the palm of your hand, invisible, weightless, buzzing with quiet power. This atom vibrates, but not in any ordinary way. It dances between two energy levels, back and forth, again and again. This motion is so precise, so predictable, that we use it to define the second itself. Not guess it, not approximate it, but define it. 1 second is exactly 9,192,631,770 of those atomic transitions. Not more, not less. Each tick a ripple in spatiate. This is the atomic clock, the heartbeat of our civilization. Every GPS signal, every phone call, every internet timestamp relies on this atomic rhythm. And in this way, the entire modern world moves in harmony with the tiny pulse of a cesium atom. It's almost poetic that the smallest parts of the universe guide our largest systems. And yet, even that isn't the limit. Scientists have now built clocks, so sensitive they lose only 1 second every 15 billion years. They call them optical lattice clocks, using strontium atoms instead of cesium. These clocks are so precise that they can feel time change if you move them a few centimeters higher. Yes, even elevation changes. Times tick because gravity bends time. We saw that before. Even the floor and the ceiling of your bedroom live slightly different timelines. Time is slippery. It flexes, it shifts, even under your feet. But here's something softer, something to dream on. Atoms may define time for science, but your body has clocks too inside your brain. In a tiny bundle of cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a master clock ticks. It reads the light. It signals your organs. It tells your body when to rise, when to sleep, when to eat, when to dream. You are made of atomic clocks, millions of them, ticking in tissues, organs, and cells. Your very biology follows rhythms etched into your DNA. These are called circadian rhythms, the day within your cells. And though they don't tick with the exactness of cesium, they carry something deeper, a harmony with the world. When your rhythm falls in step with the turning earth, you feel rested, calm, centered. But when your rhythm breaks through jet lag, all-nighters, or late-night screens, you feel it, a dissonance, a kind of temporal vertigo. Even your mood, your memory, your immune system can falter when your internal time loses its beat. So as you lie here now, so still, so soft, remember this. You are not floating aimlessly through time. You are time. Time woven into flesh. Time pulsing in blood. Time encoded into every microscopic beat of your being. You carry the universe's rhythm inside you, the ticking of atoms, the sway of hormones, the breath-to-breath dance of existence, and all around you. Other clocks tick too, clocks in coral reefs, in tree rings, in the migrations of birds, in the heartbeat of whales and the rustle of leaves. Time is not just in cesium transitions and polished metal machines. It's in the way the world turns, the way fireflies flash and sink, the way flowers open to morning light. This planet breathes in time, and so do you. But what happens when all the clocks agree? What happens when the atomic clock, the body clock, and the rhythm of the earth all line up? Then something magical happens. You feel now, truly, not yesterday's regret, not tomorrow's worry, but this exact moment, this beat, this breath. And in that place, the world softens, the rush quiets, the illusion of urgency melts. You feel timeless because you are finally in time, finally in time. So tonight, you don't need to count seconds. You don't need a watch. You don't need to measure the rhythm of the stars. All you need is stillness, to listen to the quiet ticking beneath your ribs, to feel the invisible metronome that guides your cells, your sleep, your soul. You are a symphony of clocks, and sleep is one of their most beautiful songs. Let the clocks run without you now. Let the cesium atoms tick in faraway labs. Let the satellites whisper seconds to one another in the sky. You have done enough. And as you drift off slowly, gently, know that you are being carried by rhythms deeper than thought. Rhythms that cradle stars. Rhythms that hold galaxies. Rhythms that were here long before you woke and will echo long after. And next, we'll follow those rhythms into the shape of memory. How time forms your past, how moments become meaning, and how you can never quite step back into the moment you just left behind. Close your eyes and imagine this. You're in a room with no windows, no clocks, no sunlight, no sound of passing cars, no shifting shadows on the floor, just stillness. Soft white walls, endless quiet air. How would you know what time it is? How would your brain hold on to now, without anything to measure it against? This is where we are tonight, in a place with no ticking, no sunrise, no cues to tell you that time is real. What happens to you there? To your thoughts, your memories, your sense of rhythm? Let's find out by entering the brain's deepest chamber, where time loses its shape, and you begin to float. It turns out you don't need clocks to feel time. Your brain carries its own. Even in perfect darkness, even cut off from the world, your mind keeps ticking. But it does so in surprising, imperfect ways. Scientists have tried this. They've placed people in temporal isolation chambers, rooms underground, sealed off from sunlight and routine, to see how time survives when the world goes silent. At first, the subjects adjust. They eat, they sleep. They hum little songs to fill the space. But then something begins to shift. The brain begins to drift. Sleep-wake cycles stretch longer. Some people begin to sleep in 36-hour rhythms. Others lose track of days entirely. When asked how long they've been inside, they guess far too little, believing only a few days have passed, when weeks have quietly slipped by. Time, it seems, is not just counted by your brain, it's constructed by it. And in the absence of cues, the construction begins to crumble. You begin to feel adrift, unanchored, as though your thoughts float in syrup, heavy and slow. This tells us something beautiful and a little eerie. Time is not an external signal poured into your brain. It's something your brain creates moment to moment, second to second, and it creates time by stitching together events. A memory here, a thought there, a flash of light, a sound, a feeling. Each one like a stitch in fabric, and time is the fabric itself. Without those stitches, without input, your mind starts to lose the thread. But you don't have to go into isolation to feel this. Think about the last time you got lost in thought, or in a book, or in a dream. Hours might pass, but your brain gives you only a vague sense of the time that slipped by. Or consider a moment of fear, a near accident, a fall, a sharp, shocking event, and how that moment seemed to stretch as though everything moved in slow motion. This isn't magic, it's memory. Your brain encodes more details during stress or alertness, and later, when you replay that moment, it feels longer. Time didn't slow. Your brain just noticed more. That's the secret. The more details you absorb, the more stitches in your mental fabric, and the longer the moment feels when you look back. This is why childhood summers seem to last forever. Your young brain was taking in everything: textures, sounds, faces, words, all still fresh and unfiltered. But as you grow older, fewer things feel new. Fewer details register. And so time feels like it moves faster. Not because it is, but because your brain is stitching less. It's like watching a movie at the same speed, but with fewer frames. So how do you slow it down? How do you reclaim the softness and stretch of time? By noticing, by turning your attention to the tiny things, the way your breath whispers in your nose, the hum behind silence, the flicker of candlelight on the wall, the pattern of your heartbeat as you lie still. These are your anchors in the timeless room. They are how your brain rebuilds the sense of now, because truly, you are always in a timeless room. The world may turn, the clocks may tick, but inside your mind, there is only the present always. And only the present. Your memories are echoes. Your plans are projections. But this breath, this pulse, this quiet is real. And when you learn to settle into it, to sit with it without rushing, you find something strange and soft. You stop fearing time. You begin to see that you are not racing through it. You are the still point, the observer, the eye in the storm. And even if all the clocks vanished, if every sun stopped rising, your brain would still build its little world of time in each passing thought. This is why solitary confinement hurts the mind. Why astronauts train to stay sane in silence. Why people lose themselves when the world offers no contrast, no rhythm, no return. Time, it turns out, is not just how long things take. It's how real they feel to you. And so tonight, in your own soft isolation, this quiet room, this drifting hour, you can practice something beautiful, being with time as it really is. Not the ticking of a watch, not the buzz of a phone, but the quiet unfolding of thought, of breath, of self. You are not waiting for tomorrow. You are not rewinding yesterday. You are simply being here. Now whole, let this timeless room be your sanctuary. Not an absence, but a presence. Not lost time, but found awareness. And as you sink deeper, as the outer world fades, your inner world shimmers more clearly. You are the clock. You are the rhythm. You are the timeless witness in the quiet chamber of the mind. And from here, we'll drift gently into the next mystery, into the fabric that holds your memories, your dreams, and the strange truth that your past is never quite as fixed as you think it is. Close your eyes. Let the room fade. Let the clocks dissolve. Tonight, time no longer marches forward. Tonight, it curls. It folds in on itself. It plays tricks. And it dares to ask impossible questions. Have you ever had the feeling that something already happened? That strange twinge of déjà vu, as if a moment were quietly repeating itself. You stand in the same spot. You hear the same words. And for a heartbeat, you wonder, haven't I done this before? That's where we begin tonight. Inside, the mystery of time loops and paradoxes. Imagine this. You step into a time machine. It hums with strange energy. You set the dial for yesterday. You press the button, and in a blink, you're there. Now imagine, you meet your younger self. You say something that changes their path. You stop them from making a mistake. And because of that, they never build the time machine. So now you ask, if they never build it, how did you use it to go back? This is the grandfather paradox, a loop with no exit, a question with no answer, and your mind begins to turn gently in its own loop, wondering what's real and what's possible. These loops are not just fiction. They live in the equations, in physics. Time isn't a one-way street. Not always. Einstein's theories tell us that time is woven into space. Together, they make space-time a flexible fabric that can stretch, bend, even twist. And in this fabric, there are strange curves, closed loops, called closed time-like curves. The math says in some warped geometries, an object could travel forward and end up where and when it started. A loop in time, a cosmic circle. It sounds like fantasy. But the equations don't mind. They simply whisper, if the conditions are right, yes, time could loop. Now, imagine standing at the center of such a loop. You live the same moment, again and again. A day that restarts. A second that flickers endlessly. What would you notice the second time? The third? The 100th? Would you make a different choice? Say a softer word? Take a slower breath? Would you start to wonder if the loop was a prison or a gift? In stories, time loops teach us things. They strip away distraction. They hold us still until we see. The smallest actions can carry great weight. The tiniest choices can shift a life, and time, for all its size, can be tender in repetition. But time paradoxes do more than confuse us. They humble us. What if the universe is self-consistent? What if, even if you went back in time, you couldn't change it? What if every choice you thought you were making was already folded into the fabric of reality? This is the Navikov self-consistency principle. It says, yes, you might travel back, but everything you do was already part of the story. You can't break the timeline because your actions are part of how it was written. It's not fate. Not exactly. It's harmony. A kind of cosmic balance between freedom and form. And your brain, softly turning the idea over, begins to wonder, is time more like music than math? Think of a song. The notes follow one another, but you can replay it, loop it, listen backward, and still, it's the same melody. What if time works that way too? not as a straight road, but as a symphony with repeating themes, echoes, and returns. Some physicists think that time may not even be fundamental, that it might emerge from deeper laws we don't yet see, like ripples on water, beautiful and flowing, but not the whole ocean. And in those depths we find even stranger paradoxes. Imagine two particles entangled. One is here, the other light years away, yet somehow they act as one, as if distance doesn't matter, as if time doesn't matter. Quantum mechanics whispers its riddles, that cause and effect might blur, that the future might influence the past. A measurement now might shape a particle before you even look. Your mind slows, trying to stretch wide enough to hold it. Time loops, timelessness, reverse causality. It all seems impossible until you remember. We're just beginning to understand the nature of now. But even in the strange world of physics, there's a place for wonder, for imagination. Scientists dream of wormholes, tunnels through space-time, where one end could lie in the future and the other in the past. Travel through, and perhaps you arrive before you left. If the wormhole is stable, if the energies don't collapse it, if the paradoxes don't cancel it all, 1,000 ifs that echo through your mind like footsteps in an empty hallway. But you're not afraid, because this journey is not about certainty. It's about curiosity. And tonight, that's what guides you. So let your thoughts drift into the idea of time as a loop, not a line, a spiral, a ribbon, a turning wheel, moments returning with new meaning, choices revisited, patterns revealed. Even in your own life, don't you feel it? Old emotions rising again, old questions in new forms, lessons you thought you'd learned repeating softly, asking gently to be felt again. Maybe your life, too, is a loop with a purpose, and as you lie here, quiet and still, you begin to sense the peace within paradox, that not everything must be solved, not every loop must be broken. Some things are meant to return, to be lived again, to be noticed more deeply each time. Time, with all its riddles, is still your companion, not cruel, not cold, just mysterious, and endlessly inviting. Let the paradoxes rest now. You don't need to untangle them tonight. Let them float in your mind like glowing rings, turning gently in the dark. Tomorrow will come, or maybe it already has. And from here we'll move on to ask a gentler question. What does time feel like in your memories? And are those memories ever truly finished? Or do they live on, shaping your now? Asterisk, asterisk, the stars overhead. They do not rush, the mountains below. They do not speak, and yet both tell time in a language too slow for our clocks to catch. Tonight, you enter that silence, the long stillness beneath your feet, the hush of geologic time, the patience of Earth itself. Tonight, you drift into what geologists call deep time, where a second becomes a century, and a day becomes an age. Welcome to the slowest clock you've ever listened to. Close your eyes. Picture a mountain, tall, ancient, unmoving. Now imagine watching that mountain, not for a moment, not for a day, but for 1,000,000 years. You would see it breathe. Not like lungs, but like continents, shifting in sleep. It would rise and fall. It would crack and melt, and crumble into dust. And all the while, it would seem perfectly still. This is the illusion of time, when measured on a human scale. But Earth moves always. You're just too fast to notice. You are a creature of heartbeats, breaths, blinks dot, but the planet thinks in lava flows, in glacial drifts, in plates that slide so slowly you'd swear they don't move at all. It turns mountains into sand, oceans into deserts, fossils into coal, and then back again. And time, here, is not marked by seconds, but by sediment, each layer of stone beneath. Your feet is a page in the planet's memory, ash from ancient volcanoes, shells from forgotten seas, footprints fossilized from creatures long gone. You are not just walking on Earth, you are walking on stories in the Grand Canyon. Rocks whisper across 2 billion years. At the bottom, dark, twisted stone formed before there were fish, before flowers, before even the concept of today. And above that, layer upon layer, deposited by oceans that no longer exist. Each band a chapter, each ripple a signature of a world that has already vanished. And you are one breath in all that time, one soft step on the crust of a dreaming Earth. But deep time is not just found in rocks. It lives in ice, in trees, in the slow drip of water through limestone caves. In Antarctica, scientists drill down into ancient glaciers. Each layer of ice is a winter remembered, a snowflake that fell 20,000 years ago, still holds the air of that day, a tiny bubble of ancient breath. And in that breath are clues. How warm the planet was, how much carbon floated in the sky, how life on Earth held its balance. Even the air remembers. Now imagine a tree, not just tall, but timeless. There are bristlecone pines in California that have lived for nearly 5,000 years. When pyramids were new, they were already old. Each ring in their trunk is a secret, a year of sun and rain, of drought and bloom. Cut it open, and you'd see time rippling outward from a tiny seed that dared to grow. But you don't need to cut it. Just being near it, breathing its air feels like standing next to a clock that ticks once every 1,000 sunrises. Even the oceans tell deep time. Coral reefs grow slowly, a few millimeters a year. Some stretch hundreds of miles, built by generations of tiny creatures you'll never see. When you swim above them, you're floating over centuries of patience. And below the ocean floor, in thick mud, microbes live in slow motion. They divide once every 100 years. They do not rush. They do not sleep. But they endure, and in that stillness, they hold the memory of a world before humans, before mammals, before bones. You may wonder, what does deep time have to do with you? Everything, because you are made of it. The calcium in your bones came from long-dead stars. The iron in your blood was forged in supernovas before Earth existed. Your atoms have waited billions of years to become you. You are the present moment of ancient materials, and when you speak, when you think, when you love, you are deep time, come alive. Now imagine what this means for the idea of freezing time. You've asked before, what if time could stop? But in deep time, you see another truth. Time is always paused, depending on your scale. To a mayfly, your life is an eternity. To a mountain, your whole civilization is a blink. Time is relative, not just in physics, but in feeling, and in Earth's slow heartbeat. You begin to see that maybe stillness is not the absence of time, but the presence of patience. So let the still earth teach you something tonight, that not all change is fast, that not all motion is visible, that great things move quietly. Your growth, your healing, your becoming, these don't rush. They unfold like the tide shaping the shore, like ice carving valleys, like stars being born in clouds of dust. You do not need to hurry. You are already moving on deep time's current. And as you fly here, quiet, soft-breathed, you begin to feel it, that you are not small in the face of time. You are made of it. You are not separate from the earth's memory. You are a new sentence in its long poem. You are not late. You are not lost. You are right on time. Let your breath slow now. Let your thoughts rest. Let your body remember that even when you feel stuck, you are becoming. The planet does not rush. Why should you? Tomorrow, we will ask what happens to time when it lives only in memory. But for now, be still, be slow, be timeless, be timeless. Time doesn't always live on a clock. Sometimes it lives in your memory. Sometimes it bends and folds and stretches inside the quiet corridors of your mind. You close your eyes, and suddenly, you're 5 years old. You smell the scent of rain on a school bag. You hear laughter from a voice you haven't heard in years. Your chest tightens with warmth or ache. And just like that, you've traveled. Not forward, not backward, but inward. Tonight we wander into memory, your internal clock, a timekeeper with no ticking hands, no gears or pendulums, just moments stitched together by meaning dot, because memory doesn't measure seconds, it measures emotions, experiences, the way light looked on the wall on a day that changed your life. In the soft dark of night, your memories wake. Not to disturb you, but to remind you who you are, where you've been, and that time in your mind is not linear at all. Close your eyes. Think of a summer day from your childhood, a small one, popsicle in hand, bare feet on hot pavement, a sprinkler arching through the air like a crystal rainbow. How long did that moment last? A minute, 2. Yet here it is, alive again, untouched, unspoiled, time frozen, in memory. And this is the first magic of the mind. That memory doesn't just store time, it reshapes it. Moments you want to forget can stretch endlessly, and moments you love pass in a blink, yet linger for decades. Inside your brain, your hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped region tucked deep inside, is your timekeeper. It catalogs, it arranges, it remembers where things happened, and when, and what mattered. It does not run on numbers, it runs on relevance. This is why the days blur together when you're bored, but a single afternoon of surprise can feel enormous. Novelty makes time expand, routine makes it shrink. Your internal clock is not mechanical, it's emotional. That's why time felt so long when you were little, because everything was new. The first snow, the first bike ride, the first goodbye. Each carved itself deeply into the soft clay of your mind. And because each was new, your brain paused, paid attention, stored it with care. But as you age, routine settles in. You know what comes next. The days stack up like folded paper. neat, predictable. And suddenly a year goes by. Like a gust of wind, time doesn't change. But your experience of it does. Have you ever had a moment that felt like it lasted forever? Maybe you were waiting for news, or sitting with heartbreak, or watching someone you love sleep, and not wanting to disturb the silence, that pause. That heaviness or awe was your brain stretching time to hold emotion. Just as Einstein said, put your hand on a hot stove for a minute, and it seems like an hour. Sit with someone you love for an hour, and it seems like a minute. Your internal clock is not a stopwatch. It is a storyteller, and memory is the way you reread the stories. And here's another truth. Memory doesn't live in the past. It lives in your now. When you recall something, you're not watching a replay. You're rebuilding it each time. You patch it together from sights and scents, feelings and fragments. And sometimes it changes. Not because you're wrong, but because you're human. Because memories aren't meant to be exact. They're meant to be meaningful. Your brain isn't a camera, it's a poet. Even your sense of self is built from memory. You know who you are because of what you remember. Your name, your story, your scars, your joy. Take away memory, and time loses shape. The future becomes unanchored. The present floats unmoored. This is what happens in Alzheimer's and dementia. Time becomes a blur, a slipping thread, a face you knew but can't place anymore. And it reminds us, memory is not just time. It is identity. It is presence. It is being. And now, let's drift to the science of dreaming. Because sleep is when memory gets polished as you rest. Your brain replays the day. That chooses what to keep, what to forget, what to weave into your longer self. That's why deep sleep is healing, not just for the body, but for your timeline and dreaming. That's your brain telling stories from pieces, testing patterns, filing thoughts like books on invisible shelves. In your dreams, you bend time, you skip scenes. You fly through memory like a painter with no frame. Time is liquid here, and your mind swims in it freely. So what happens when we ask, can you freeze time inside yourself? The answer is already yes. You've done it. Every time you remember love. Every time you smell a certain scent and are transported, you've frozen time in laughter. In music, in grief. A photograph on the wall. A voice message from long ago. A place that no longer exists, but still lives in you. This is how you carry time. Not in minutes, but in moments. Tonight, as you lie here, your mind will wander. Let it float through birthdays, first kisses, quiet losses, childhood pets. Let your memory hold you. Not to trap you in the past, but to remind you. You are made of time that meant something. And that meaning is the real clock. And when you wake tomorrow, you'll feel it. The stretch of memory still lingering in your chest. The echoes of time you didn't know you needed to visit. You'll move through your day, carrying stories like stones worn smooth, and your internal clock will tick quietly on. Not in seconds, but in soft reminders of where you've been. Because the true measure of time is not in how long things last, but in how deeply they stay. And you, gentle traveler, are the keeper of all that stays. Asterisk. So, what if it actually happened? What if, just for a moment, the universe paused? No wind, no waves, no ticking clocks. No beating hearts. Not a breath, not a blink. Not a single atom in motion. A true stillness, not just silence, but the complete and utter freezing of time. Tonight, you float into that impossible question. What would a frozen universe look like? And more mysteriously, how would you even know it had happened? Because in a place without time, there can be no awareness, no change, no thought. You begin by imagining the world outside your window, still the moon caught mid a bird, frozen in the arc of flight. Leaves suspended in the air, mid-fall, a raindrop hovering inches above the ground, round and perfect as a glass bead. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? But something's missing. Something you can't quite name at first dot. And then it dawns on you. There is no you in this picture, because without time, you cannot move. You cannot think. You cannot be. Let's slip, gently now, into the science beneath this thought, into the cold architecture of what frozen would really mean. Time, in physics, is not just a background. It is a dimension-like space, but flowing in one direction, and all motion, from galaxies to glucose, requires time, even temperature. That gentle warmth on your skin depends on atoms jiggling, moving, dancing. So if you could stop time, utterly and completely, you would also stop heat, and light, and consciousness. A frozen universe would be an invisible one. Think of light, traveling 186,000 miles per second. If you stop time, you stop light, motion, which means you're in total darkness. Because light doesn't just exist, it moves. It journeys from one place to another. It reflects off surfaces. It kisses your eyes. Only then does it become vision. And in a frozen world, nothing travels. So light cannot reach you. So vision disappears. The bird mid-flight, you wouldn't see it, because the photons bouncing off its wings would be paused in mid-air. No light, no sight. No now. Don't now consider sound. A song, a whisper. The wind in the trees, all of it is vibration. Air molecules bumping into each other in little waves of pressure. But in a frozen universe, there are no vibrations. Air does not move. Your eardrums do not flex. Sound becomes a ghost. You could scream and nothing would carry, because motion is the messenger, and motion is gone. Even time inside your body halts. Your heart, still, your lungs, still, your neurons, still. No thoughts, no dreams, no awareness that you've paused. Just a snapshot of a you who once was, but cannot perceive the freeze, because perception requires time. So the great irony, if you really did stop time, you wouldn't be there to know. And yet this thought experiment teaches us something extraordinary. It reminds you that motion is life. That time, far from being your enemy, is the stage on which everything dances. Without time, you could not grow, could not love, could not laugh, could not remember. Time allows everything to unfold, to change, to matter. It is not the thief of life, but its sculptor. Let's step back a moment. Let's unfreeze the edges, just a little. Not a total stop, but a slowdown. This is something Einstein envisioned. That time is not constant. It bends with speed, with gravity, with proximity to mass. When you move fast, truly fast, time slows for you. When you're near a black hole, time passes differently than it does far away. So even if you can't freeze time completely, you can stretch it, warp it, soften its edges. In that sense, time is less like a ruler and more like clay. Now breathe, because here's something lovely. You do freeze time in small ways. Every day when you lose yourself in a moment, when the world falls away in awe or love or beauty, your sense of time stops. Those moments when you hold a newborn or watch the stars, or sit by someone's hospital bed, not saying a word, they feel timeless. And in a way, they are, because your mind pauses the clock to let meaning settle in. This is the emotional freezing of time, a pause to feel rather than rush, a pause to be, a pause to be. So maybe freezing time isn't about stopping the universe. Maybe it's about slowing down inside yourself. Maybe it's about noticing the shimmer on a puddle, the way someone says your name, the rhythm of your own breath as you drift to sleep. You can freeze time, not by stopping physics, but by stretching your awareness into the present moment, so completely that the clock seems to fade away, and maybe that's more powerful than stopping the universe. Tonight, as you lie here, let the idea melt away. Let time flow again, gently, like a stream beneath a frozen bridge. The leaves fall again. The bird finishes its flight. The moon climbs a little higher, and you, softly held in your warm bed, feel the tick of time as something kind, not a force to fear, but a current to float in. You're not racing the clock, you're riding it, moment by moment, dream by dream, because the truth is this: a universe frozen in time is a universe with nothing to say, but a universe in motion, even slow, even fragile, is one filled with song, and you are part of that music. So sleep now, let time continue. Let it carry you to the next mystery. Asterisk time isn't just a clock. It isn't only sunrise or bedtime, or the slow turning of calendar pages. Time is more than a line you move along. Tonight, as you close your eyes, you begin to sense something deeper. You start to feel what time really means to life itself. Not just to your own life, but to all life. Every leaf, every cell, every living breath. What is time to a tree that stands for 1,000 years? What is time to a mayfly that lives only for a day? And what does it mean to you? A being made of moments, strung together like stars. Let's begin with the smallest pulse of life, a heartbeat in your chest. Right now, your heart marks time with every gentle thump, not just as a mechanical rhythm, but as a message to your body. I'm alive, I'm here, I'm still going. Every heartbeat is a tiny drum calling the rest of you to action. And deep within that rhythm, time flows steady, invisible, essential. Your cells divide in time. Your skin heals in time. Your memories form in time. Without time, life can't organize. It can't breathe. It can't grow. Time is the frame that life builds, its home inside. Think of a plant, its green leaves tilting toward the sun. It doesn't wear a watch, but it knows it follows the sun with perfect grace. Opens its flowers when the light returns. Sleeps when night arrives. All life is tuned to rhythms, cycles, time. From algae in the ocean to birds migrating thousands of miles. Every living thing carries an inner clock. It may not tick like yours does, but it guides and governs and gives shape to survival. This is the biology of time, and it's everywhere inside your own body. You carry a tiny orchestra of timekeepers. There's a master clock in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It lives just above the place where your optic nerves cross. Quietly watching the light of day, this little cluster of neurons reads signals from the sun and sets your rhythms accordingly. Wake, sleep, hunger, mood. They're all tied to that uncentral clock, but it doesn't work alone. Every organ, your liver, your lungs, your skin, has its own timing, its own schedule, like musicians tuning to the same song. This harmony of time is called your circadian rhythm, and when it flows smoothly, you feel aligned with the world. When it's disrupted, you feel it too, like a song gone slightly off-key even. Your immune system knows time. It doesn't fight all the time. It rests, gathers strength, and waits for the right moment. Healing, too, is a timed response. Like a plant growing toward light, your body responds to the silent rhythm of repair. So time isn't just a measurement. It's a signal, a whisper that says when to act and when to rest. It's the breath between notes, the space where meaning lives now. Shift your gaze outward. Think of the tides, the moon, the way birds fly south before the frost arrives. Time speaks in the language of seasons. It whispers through temperature and sunlight and instinct, and life listens. Hibernation, migration, mating, all of it choreographed by the great dance of time. Some animals are born to bloom in spring and fade by fall. Some sleep for months in caves, waiting for time to warm the earth. Time is written into their bones, into their fur and feathers, into their choices and chances. It is the guide that life follows. And what of memory? What is memory but your way of carrying time inside you? You remember not just facts, but sequences, moments strung together like pearls. You recall what happened first, what followed, what changed you. You map your life by when things happened, by how long they lasted, by how they felt in the flow of your personal time. Even emotions are tied to time. You grieve what is gone. You long for what hasn't come. You live in a present, stretched between what was and what might be. And that is what makes you human. Sometimes you wish time would speed up, in waiting rooms, on long flights, during hard days. Sometimes you want it to slow down. At birthdays, on summer evenings, in the arms of someone you love. That wish is life talking, because life doesn't just pass through time, it feels time. It aches with it, laughs in it, grows because of it. Life marks time not just by clocks, but by meaning, by what matters. And so, time is not just a number, it is a teacher. It teaches you that things change, that pain passes, that growth takes time, that joy is fleeting and precious because of it. It teaches you to cherish the right now, because time, for all its endlessness, only ever gives you this moment to hold. So tonight, as you rest, you lie in the arms of something ancient and kind. You are not racing time. You are riding it like a leaf on a river, like a song on a breath of wind. Time holds you gently as life unfolds inside you. And that, perhaps, is what time truly means to life. Not a countdown, but a cradle. Asterisk, You've spent this night drifting through time, sliding between seconds, stepping through the invisible doorways that separate now from next. You've watched the universe breathe in rhythms, seen atoms pulse, felt memories stretch like taffy across your thoughts. And now you arrive here, at the edge of a quiet idea. What if, gently, you could say goodbye to the clock? Not in panic, not in confusion, but in peace. A soft parting from tick-tock, thinking a farewell to the numbers, the deadlines, the restless chase for what's next. Because maybe, just maybe, life was never meant to be measured in hours. Maybe it was meant to be felt. You lie still. Your breath is steady. There's no race to run now, no calendar calling you, no alarm set for morning, only this moment, and the soft hush of being alive inside it. Time has always wrapped around you like a fog present, but impossible to hold. But what if you stopped trying to hold it? Let go. Let it pass over you like wind through a meadow. Let it soften around you like twilight at the end of a golden day. There are clocks everywhere, on your wall, on your phone, in your car, in your head. Clocks that whisper you're late, you're early, not yet, too long, almost over. But these are not truths. They are tools. And tools can be put down when they're no longer needed. So what happens when you stop measuring, stop counting, stop slicing your life into pieces of time? What remains? Stillness, presence, breath. A kind of freedom that doesn't tick, doesn't blink, doesn't remind you what day it is. Children live like this before they know what clocks are. They wake with light. They sleep with yawns. They play without glancing at a watch. Their joy is not scheduled. Their wonder is not planned. And yet they are alive in every sense. They are not losing time. They are inside it completely. What if you could return to that? Not permanently, not irresponsibly, but gently. Like dipping your feet into a river and remembering what water feels like. Outside of time, there's a rhythm deeper than seconds. Your heartbeat, the rise and fall of your chest, the silence between thoughts. These are not mechanical. They are natural, fluid, timeless. They don't need a clock. They need only attention. And in giving them that, you rediscover a softer way to be. The ancient world didn't always use clocks. They used the sky, the sun's position, the shadow of a stone, the pattern of stars. These were slow indicators, not rules, and they invited slowness in return. Seasons changed and people changed with them. Work paused when it grew dark. Rest followed the rhythm of nature, and life, though shorter by some measures, was often deeper, more felt, less divided. You are not returning to the past, but you can take something from it. A whisper that says, time does not own you. You are not a machine. You do not need to optimize every minute. You do not need to outrun the sunset. You are enough simply by being here now. So tonight, as the final minutes of this gentle journey fade, you say goodbye, not to time itself, but to the illusion that time must always be chased. You thank the clock for what it offered, the structure, the reminders, the rhythm. And then with kindness you set it down, like placing a book back on the shelf, like letting a balloon slip from your hand and watching it rise into an open sky. You close your eyes, not as a way to escape time, but as a way to meet it differently. Not as a line, not as a race, but as a soft circle of breath, of dreams, of being. Sleep is not the opposite of time. Sleep is its secret door. Through it, you step into timelessness, where moments stretch, memories blend, and the soul floats free. And if you listen closely, you may hear time hum beneath your rest. Not loudly, not sharply, but gently, like the quiet ticking of the universe itself. Not rushing, not warning, just existing, and inviting you to simply exist with it. Simply exist with it.